I'm Nikki Marshall. I'm a service fellow with the Centers for Disease Control, and I work in an allergy and clinical immunology branch. And I love what I do because it directly impacts human health and how we're going to improve worker health. My very first job out of college actually was doing immunology research. Just happened to land a job at a biotech company with an immunology group. And as soon, the first weekend, I realized I loved it. Just that sort of feeding that intellectual curiosity and just that discovery, asking questions and seeking answers. That's the most fun part of doing research. And so once you're bitten by that bug, it's hard to ever leave it. I think I've always been very interested in human health and disease and in medicine. And so I think I wanted to be more of a scientist than a physician. And so I found that immunology was one of the most sort of interesting aspects of any question that we asked about medical diseases and conditions. Even as a kid, I would open up like a medical book and like read about different diseases and how they were caused. And so it just seemed like a natural fit for me to study the immune system. I always learn something new. That's the reason to come to these conferences, because you always learn different ways to do things and then different ways of thinking. And I think that's most important, because you get so kind of drawn into your own little world that this is an opportunity to sort of step out of that and talk to people, learn what they're doing, and kind of expand your horizons. I think one of your sort of duties when you come to these conferences is to take a peek at what is the latest and greatest that the vendors have. Certainly, even working for the CDC, we really try to keep our research as cutting edge as possible. And so we're always looking at what's the newest instrumentation, how do you make things more efficient and more speedy, more accurate, more easily repeatable. So that's definitely something that we're always looking for when we come to this conference and come back and report back kind of how we think we should improve the way we're doing things. I think one of the most rewarding things about being a scientist is mentoring the junior scientists. And even the ones that just walk in and don't really know what they want to do. And then you get them really excited about the field. I mean, that's the best feeling. And then these individuals go on to be successful in the same field or a different field. But you have the opportunity to have a big impact on them through mentorship, through getting them excited about science, getting them excited about immunology. That's one of my favorite parts about the job. I think one of the most important things about immunology is there's still so much that we're still trying to understand. That's the fun part. We're still identifying cells and subsets. We're still identifying what genes they express, how they traffic around the body, how we can harness them for vaccine strategies and medications. There's just so much still to learn. That's what's so exciting about this field. I have a story from graduate school, and it was almost what would maybe be any graduate student's nightmare come true. But so it was winter, and we had some pipes burst. And it ended up creating this waterfall of water that was, with time, going down the stairs and flooding into our lab, and they couldn't stop it. And so we were in the middle of an experiment. And so, of course, grabbing everything, putting it on ice, putting it as high up as we could. And, going to exit the building with, just soaking wet because there's water everywhere because it's cascading from the ceiling. And I got halfway out, and then I realized my computer was still there. And the thought of being a graduate student and all of your thesis work still being in this room. So despite everyone yelling at me, I ran back into the lab, unhooked the computer, and it was one of those giant towers, grabbed it under my arm and ran back out of the building to save it. Now, of course, in the end, it didn't end up actually being too big of an issue. My desk didn't flood. But I was that student standing outside with my precious computer with my thesis on it, because there was no way I was going to let that thing drown. So my lab applauded me. I think the rest of the university was kind of giving me a strange look, but I saved it.